Alright, top tier is only 3 9s. They have a faster medium comp. You've got a kind of a campy tank destroyer comp. Definitely in a T30, go down to over in this area to start for a number of reasons, mostly safety. The nice thing about this particular game is that there's no artillery, so Swamp is really good if you can hold down in a lot of places without fear of artillery. There's a lot of places along the, these little bridges there and over there. The T30's got reasonably good depression, being an American tank, and it has a really strong turret. So that's something that you can exploit. So you elected to go north, which is fine. I mean, you can go north. I just don't like going north because I don't have great expectation for my team actually handling the south correctly. So if you do go north, one of the things that you can do, because they have a faster team, it's actually difficult to get out of here sometimes, but since there's no arty, it's actually to your advantage. You can push across over this bridge area, and you can kind of play this area here if you get lit. So that the problem is that, like, as you drive up over here is when you get shot, and that's what you'll notice. Like, when I play this north spawn, I'll go over here, and I'll start shooting these guys as they sort of try to cross over there. So that's where I'm able to prevent them from doing it. But especially when there's no artillery, see how there's a lot of hills here? You can use that to hold down. And you can even just like basically camp right here, like where this bush is, just because of the way that this terrain works. And like you could shoot these guys right now, and that's what, it's worthwhile, especially since you haven't been lit, or you don't have 6th sense. Okay, apparently you do. So, anyways, that was a good job. And then what you want to do, so since you're being really aggressive and moving over here, you need to, look over on this side. Like, this is your primary concern, because, right, you don't have any backup. Right? You weren't going to get any other shots over on that other side. He's trying to Koopa you. So what you want to be able to do is you want to either be able to get to a position where you can prevent him from getting backed up, right? Prevent him from that FCM from getting up. That FCM just took a shot at you. So what you're going too high on this hill now, so you actually want to go closer to where that Centurion 7-1 is. You now have a T-34 backing you up, so that's something that you can do. Or if he wants to trade his 376 damage for your 740 damage, that works too. That's what we in the business call a bad trade. And then now you should still be focusing on the Centurion 7-1. Because he's a threat to your T-34. Like he's about to kill your T-34 here. Whereas if you went and fronted that Centurion 7-1, you probably could have killed him, and you would have been able to. So again, you're sort of losing focus here on tanks that really are inconsequential, particularly to your side. Your position is not nearly as solid as you would like. So you want to be sure that you can shore it up. And ideally, I don't know how your T-34 is not dead, but ideally you want to try to save your T-34, right? That's immediately to your left. So you basically just let that guy die. And then again, there's no artillery, so you're not going to get a good shot on that guy until you drive over to your left. And every time you shoot, he's just going to poke forward. So your team has taken about 1,200 damage from this Centurion 7-1 that could have been prevented if you just drove over to him and killed him, when that T-34 was over there. And you can still do it. Like, you can still go around from that side. See, he still has no backup. Those guys behind him are countering. Well, now you have a KV-4. So now that the KV-4 is over there, the story changes. Now you can actually stay over here, because the KV-4 can keep that guy honest. Unless the KV-4 also can't damage him. And it might be worthwhile to take a hit from the FCM to kill the Centurion 7-1 anyways. But you could drive around to where that KV-4 is, and you could probably be in a better position. But that Centurion 1 has needed to die for some time now. Good job. See? And that, if you had done that earlier, would have saved you probably 800 health. You would have gotten shot by the FCM, but, I mean, come on. One shot from an FCM. Okay, so now you have to be more cautious because you're low health. So when you go over on these guys, you want to make sure that you're in a position where people can't pick you off. So your team is holding okay over there, but what you really need to do is you need to clear out ideally just as 110, and somebody needs to get up on this plateau over here because then they'll be able to wreck all of those guys in the middle. And that's one of the things that you have to do when you sort of think about what you're going to do next. It's about, how can you basically put the enemy team into a bind.
It's a trap!
You need to get to a position where your gun's a little bit too inactive here.
It's a trap!
Nice shot. So you still, like, this, you don't want to push across here, especially with, a 236 health T30. So you actually want to go over here where you can get shots. You're not really going to get that great of shots on these guys over here. This FCM has been poking, but he's also in an inconsequential position to what you want to do, right? In the meantime, you don't know what's going on your flank. So you often have to think of your teammates' health as part of your own health pool, and you want to preserve their health as much as you can, not just your own.
It's a trap!
There's FCM going to come behind you. Lol. And the other thing, the rest of their guys are probably back in this area over here. There might be like one of the tank destroyers over here, but I'm guessing they're both over there. And so still you need to,
it's a trap!
Lol. So you want to use that hold down position as much as possible. Yeah, he's coming behind you though. That's fine. So again, my feeling is that you split too much attention to too many different areas, and like if you had killed that Centurion, if you had made that Centurion 7-1 your focus, you know how that oops, I think I lost it. Yeah, you know how your KV4 went forward into that position right there? If you had just done that, if you had just driven forward and shot that Centurion 7-1 in the face, you would probably have like half of your health still. And that would have been a much more difficult push. And then the other thing that you want to be able to do is you want to also be able to sort of look at the map, especially in a tank like the T30 with a really long reload time, sort of plan out what you think you need to do next. I think a lot of the problem that people have is that they play this game and they go to a position on the map and then they just wait for things to come to them, things to happen in their immediate area, and that's what they're looking for in order to shoot. I think you have to look to create opportunities, and you also have to look to protect your teammates. I think those two things are very important. So you did a good job of dealing damage, which is always good, but I think that if you take anything away from this, it's that you let your T-34 just die. I mean, you let that guy just die. I mean, he wasn't that good of a player, but I mean, you could have saved him and you didn't. Okay. Anyways, I think this is going to end poorly, so we'll go ahead and look at the stats. on your left. See, he's basically spotting for you, but that's fine because that'll allow you to get shots. And then see how these guys appeared on the northeast? So that's something that you need to be aware of, because if you get lit, those guys are going to have shots on you. Especially since now it looks like they're sort of pushing in. So you should turn and shoot the northeast. The northeast is a greater concern right now, because if you have 2 tanks up there, right? These guys, I mean, even if it might be easier shots, they're not pushing. They're not really that much of a threat to these guys. And in fact, I don't even think that those guys are shooting the 122-44. I think these guys up here are shooting your 122-44. Okay, the KD-85 is. And they're still pushing in on your northeast, so you gotta see that. And then so now's about the time when you should consider relocating.
It's a trap!
And then, so you look at the map now, you're going to lose this side. It's actually probably best if you come either through here and help these guys over here. What you want to do is you want to get yourself out to one side where you can be able to actually be someplace where you're not the focal point of their offense.
It's a trap!
Although I suppose they do only have a Firefly and a 38 NA up there, but doesn't mean they're not going to pew pew. Yeah, you really need to help these guys out down here. Like, you're right now kind of just driving around going back to the same well. My Tog's got a lot of health too. Yeah. Okay, that side's lost now, so now I wouldn't worry about it. Now I would actually counter push this way, counter push north. There's no reason for you not to. They've got a Firefly where you know his position. And then ignore the 38 NA. He's completely. Oh, KV1 though is gonna be a problem. It's fine. That was a good move. And then you don't need to push this. You do not need to push this. I mean, you can if you want, but you don't need to, is what I'm saying. The KV1's coming around, the PZ38's coming around, but the KV1's gonna take a while. What I would do is just leave. There's really no reason, because what you don't want to have to do is try to take on this KV1 frontally. And then right there, you might as well just got a shot. I mean, if he's gonna miss, the Firefly's gonna try to come around behind you, so you have to turn. I would turn around now so you can pick him up.
It's a trap!
So where you're at right now, you're just not in a very good position. And the thing about a lot of light tanks is that you have the speed to get out. It's just a matter of planning. You know, you have to plan ahead and have an idea of what you want to do or where you want to go.
It's a trap!
Just go over on this guy. The Firefly is one shot for you. The KV1 was coming around this side, so you'd rather push the Firefly than the KV1. You had time to wait until you were reloaded though, because the KV1's not a speed demon. And then you want to keep going that way, is usually my opinion, because usually the KV1 will come around on this side. Or the KV1 can be still in the same place on the map. Lol.
It's a trap!
Alright, so the Tog is there. The Tog still has 800 health. That's not a good sign. T-150's in front of you. You want to just avoid that. You just want to go out in a way. Like, you're trying to do too much frontal confrontation against heavier tanks in general in your light tank. See, this is what you should be doing. Basically, guerrilla warfare. So he's going to appear in front of this Dickermax, so you have to be prepared already. You have to be aiming over by your Dickermax a little bit more. And then you're probably going to have to spot for him. He'll appear on your left, to the left of between the brown house and that little piece of wreckage there. Run, Dickermax, run! And then here's where a point where you don't mind getting spotted here, because if he has to think about you, then at least he won't maybe shoot you, Dickermax, but he did. That was unfortunate. And so again, really slow tanks, other than their Hellcat. So you just want to try to use your speed to have some advantage here. I don't know that you're gonna spot this guy.
It's a trap!
It's like their dude completely forgot where you were. It's a whole object permanence thing. And you should be able to kill the Tog pretty easily, but the Hellcat's going to be difficult because the Hellcat can take a shot from you. And as long as he knows that, I think that's going to be problematic.
It's a trap!
Yeah, see how you're like relocating now because you got lit there? That's really what you should have been doing, even from earlier on.
It's a trap!
Run! Run! Oh.
It's a trap!
Oh. The important thing is to not rush. That was a valiant effort. So you actually had a good position here, and you were getting some shots on their guys right there. I think you could have gotten some shots at their guys once they started pushing over on this side when they were lit, and you had basically 2 6s guarding that side. It was difficult because your 122-44 could have fallen back, but he didn't, which basically caused those guys to push around and shoot him. And then it felt like you were kind of just you were just kind of lingering around here too much when you could have left. You lost health when you basically pushed in over on this side. And essentially what you did is you were in your tier 5 ELC and you said, oh, well, I know that there's a full health Firefly. And the PZ-38NA is inconsequential. And then when you drove over here, right, you saw the KV-1. And at that point, that's enough for you to just say, okay, yeah, that enough is enough. Just turn around and get out and find a longer distance engagement. And I think that's what you want to do. But I think you just kind of squandered too much health there for reasons unknown when you could have relocated, especially because at that time you still had 2 7s coming around this side, and you potentially, if you had left, basically like when your 122-44 died, right, and those guys were obviously going to die, you could have come back through here and helped them with that Tog. I think it was the VK versus the Tog, and then the Tigers came around this side, and then they got killed by these guys up here or something like that. So I think that repositioning there, not just because this side had your higher tier tanks that were still alive, but also from the fact that this position that you're in was becoming more and more precarious, and so you didn't need to save it for any strategic reason, right? This is the strategic area up here, and you had already lost it, so the fact that they're right here is, that really holds no strategic value to them, so there's no reason for you to prevent them from taking it, especially at the cost of health. Like if you had gotten a shot on that Fireflies, he went over here for free and then just turned around and left. You know, that would have been like probably an ideal situation. But anyhow, I don't think that your team did a whole lot of damage. Actually, your team didn't do horribly. You know, the way I look at it. Would have been nice if a tiger did more than 500 damage. Oh, and your well, the comet is the one guy that went north, and he just, yeah, not so good. Anyhow, actually, I don't know if he ended up going full north anyways, but good game, nice try. You know, I'm not one of those people who says you need to make sure you conserve your health at all costs. But I always, you know, I look at, you know, when we look back at how I was talking about the previous game, you know, I feel like you can use your health, your team's pool of health, and that will win you games because you'll keep guns on because you'll keep your teammates alive essentially. But in this particular case, I don't think that was the issue. I think the issue was you threw away your own health. You're just like, here, have some for free, or at a low cost. And I think that ended up being more problematic than anything else, because essentially, if you could have taken a shot from that Hellcat, but usually that doesn't play too big of a role in this particular map. You can go either way. You don't really have a whole lot of speed with the 4202. Normally I like to go here early to see how much they're sending over here, but the problem with the 4202 is that it's not quite fast enough to get away. So you could go over here and spot, but if they like pushed both bats there, they would just smoke you. The 1390 is sitting right there. He's just sitting in front of you. I would have prioritized the 1390 for a number of reasons. One, it was an easier shot. Two, the T69 is not that good. Three, the 1390 has better carry value. Four, the 1390 was a better player. Five, apparently the T69 is going to let you shoot him all day anyways. And then see how it's the same thing on the other side. These guys are trying to push across, and once they get towards the cap, they start getting annihilated. And then, so what you don't want to do is just keep poking up here. You actually want them to probe deeper, because once they commit to coming across here, like once they get to this 6th line, then you can lay into them. There's no reason for you to spot them back here when then they go, oh, there's somebody there. Although they should figure out that there's somebody there. And then your guy in the middle is in a vulnerable position because he's pretty ISO'd there, and they're about to be able to get crossfire on him.
It's a trap!
Enemy armor destroyed.
So this guy is about to die probably. And you have to be careful with how you do this. Because there's no artillery, you can actually just play this hill right here and get shots down there. You don't need to go all the way out. But you do need to get yourself into the game. Because you're about to lose the whole south. See how you're just driving over here? It's painfully obvious that most of their tanks are in this line right here. So what I'm saying is that you should have just driven over here, gotten shots where you could have, and when you didn't get shots, just drive up to this C9 area.
It's a trap!
Because you spent like the last, I don't know, 45 seconds, a minute driving around, and in the meantime, your team has just been getting obliterated. Like, you haven't fired a single shot in the past
It's a trap!
little bit. And your platoon mates are just as guilty. The T-62A shouldn't have sat there in the middle, where it was obvious that he was ISO'd, and the guy that you're with is being just as passive. And then now you're a little bit behind. So those guys on that center, that 140, there's nothing that you're going to be able to do to save them. So now is not the time to YOLO. And that's the thing. It's like there's windows of opportunities that you have to affect some change.
It's a trap!
So one of you guys should, right, the bat chat's probably behind him. So one of you guys needs to move back and away. And then you can sit there and proxy him or whatever, get shots.
It's a trap!
But you're starting to get a little bit locked in there. See how your JT's moving down there? That's where you should cover. Your guy is pushing around here. And if he tells you that he's pushing around, you really have to help him. No, where are you going? Just drive straight. Okay.
It's a trap!
Okay, so it's likely that the bat chat is reloading, but you're going to be hard pressed to kill him, but you should be able to get some good shots on him. Okay, he's going to run away. So you're not going to be able to. So just take your time and kill the waffle. Just like literally just drive around one side or the other, you know, where you're relatively protected. If you go around to that side, that guy will have a difficult time shooting you. If you just go straight around here, he'll have an easier time. Although he's not looking at, so when he's not looking at you, why didn't you shoot the waffle 4? So now what you've done is you've attracted the T-28's attention, and the waffle 4 is still here. And in the meantime, your team continues to die.
It's a trap!
Oh, you had that shot. Good job.
User joined your channel.
Hello.
Yeah.
Who's down in the lounge?
I have a guess.
Independent?
Yeah, he came by the stream earlier.
Yeah.
Or he's probably still here now.
Yeah, we've been playing for a while.
I'm narrating a replay right now, so sorry.
I'm sorry.
No.
It's a
This
trap!
one, yeah. So now you're kind of behind the 8 ball just because there's so many tanks, but I don't, it's not like this loss is on you, because you certainly did a lot of damage. But, whenever you look at replays, you should always think about what could you have done, done differently. And I think there was a large period of time in that sort of early mid-game where you kind of were you had nothing to shoot at, right? You had nothing, you weren't really doing a whole lot. You were waiting for things to happen, especially like when you were back over here. And when your teammate, the 50B, came over to your side, you were a little bit too, you guys didn't actually even work together, right? It was like you guys were in two different, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, okay, let's just say you weren't really working together. You should push that guy out. Because the low ISU is going to take a little bit longer to get there. Okay, he's running away, so you're not going to catch him. No, don't try it! Okay, now, yeah. You got a window. So the bat chat's going to try to get behind you, which is fine, because he's one shot, so just keep that in mind. You can ignore the low. Yeah, I would worry about the bat chat. That was good. That was a nice high roll. The broken turret. It hurts. Nice try. Yeah, so there was that sort of period of time between when you were sitting over here and you drove all the way around the A line, right? At that time, your T-62A platoon mate was still alive, and he was right here, and he needed your help. I don't know if he was calling for it. I don't even know if he knew it, but he needed your help because he was about to die. And both of you guys, while he was dying, both of you guys were like driving along over here like this. So letting your teammates die kind of sucks, but letting your platoon mates die, that's not so good. And again, that's not all on you. That's on him too. He needs to recognize that that's not a good position, and he needs to get out of there. And that's one of those things where if you guys were, all three of you guys were together, then you guys maybe could have, what happened over on this side might have been drastically different. Wrong window. Okay. So let's see what your buddies did. Yeah, they didn't do too badly. Your team didn't do that great, but I don't think you would ever really depend on that. That bat chat was allowed to get away a little bit too often, I think. Their bat chats did a much better job of playing together than your platoon did, so I would say that they probably earned it, but whatever. It sucks, but nice shooting. You got that going for you. Nice try, Rabbit. Yeah, if you didn't have the turret broken there, you might have been able to kill the bat chat, which could have helped you out. I don't know if you would have been able to beat the low even if you side-scraped him. would have been entertaining to see though. Unfortunately, you didn't. You already had burned your repair kit, so. Dems to brakes. Alright, so Chaffee tier 8 game. Pretty similar comps. This is not a very good map for light tanks. You can like go out to this side to spot the field, but there's not really. There's like this sort of big open area here, which makes it sort of difficult to cross, and there's not really good firing lanes anyways. Usually the best thing that you can do is just sort of spot down this lane, see how many guys they send through here, and then just kind of relocate depending on what you see or what your team needs. You kind of have to be careful in these, like the tier 5 lights, by pushing too far forward. It's really easy for, you know, like one tank to just YOLO in and kill you, because you just don't have the health pool. Especially if you drive off, that's like me driving. And then you did not need to burn a repair kit there. I mean, that was completely, you would have repaired that in time. So that was a double bad. Okay, so you know where some of their tanks is just about half of their team. You've got one T-44 on that side, so what you should do is keep an eye on what goes down, what's going on that side of the map. So he's run into a number of tanks, right? So that's something to keep an eye on. You just still don't know what's in the field, and you don't have a repair kit anymore, so you have to be careful when you go out here. This is, if I go to spot the field, I usually go out to this area over here. See how you can see these guys, but there's still a berm here for you to hide behind. So you can't push through here. You're not going to be able to push through an E25 and or the ELC, so you should just leave there.
User joined your channel.
And then, because for the angle, or I'm sorry, for the area that you're in, you're not going to be able to do a whole lot, so it's almost better to just leave. Okay. And then see how they're pushing around this side over here. So, but your team is pushing through on this side. So what you want to do is ideally come over here and see if you can help this guy out to delay this, because you're going to lose that side. It's simply a matter of time. Yeah, I'm not certain that these shots are worth it. Like, even if you were to deal damage with them, you're not killing these guys. You don't have any backup at all, right? This IS-6 is driving away from you. Lol. He's going Rambo here. Lol. Maybe he'll shoot. Oh, you drove in front of him.
User left your channel.
Yeah, you can just keep going. It's going to be difficult to get around this guy just because the E25 is so freaking fast. But obviously he's not a very good player. And then you can pin him here. Like drive, yeah, exactly. There you go. In the meantime, these guys got shored up by that FCM. But you still need to get over there, see if you can help them. Nice work. So I would actually just drive straight at this FCM. You could also go get artillery, I suppose. But if you do that, don't drive all the way out over there. Just literally just drive straight in there. Right. Look at where your team is. They're holding these guys on this line. The other IS-3 is over here, which means that you can basically just drive through here like this.
It's a trap!
Hummel just fired. I would actually worry about the F3 a little bit more, because the Hummel will take a little while to fire again. Although apparently he's not even looking at you. You really have to stop driving in front of people's guns. Yeah. I don't see how you lose. Well, I guess you don't really have a whole lot of help when you've got a tier 8 tanks. So they know that you're here because you just killed their artillery. So watch what this T-71 sees. They're either still going to be here or they're not. If they're not there, that means they're going to be back somewhere over here. Also, now is the time when you should switch to the
It's a
ACR.
trap!
Good job. Shoot the drive wheel. Shoot the turret. No, don't even bother taking that shot. And then you can spot these guys for artillery. You can see how this guy's driving over here. If you just keep him lit coming through here, that 304 will get a shot, and he still has to drive over this hill to get to you. That's fine. I mean, you can go around, but see where this low is headed? He's gonna pick up your FE304. So whenever a teammate dies, you kind of have to think about whether you could have potentially gotten
It's a trap!
a shot from that. Make their sacrifice mean something. The low is basically one shot for you. I would be more concerned about the low. If you can get out to the low and get him down. And then, this is like the scenarios that we talk about a lot in the stream, which is, what you really need is you need to have that Tiger 2 driving across an open plain at you, where you can get free shots on him, where he doesn't really have very good shots on you in return. That's what you need. That's the situation that you need to create. And so one of the things that I look at when I see this, I go, okay, well, these two guys are split. This guy's one shot. I need to go hunt this guy, because if I let both of these guys hook up, right, if they're together, then they're infinitely harder for you to kill in your little pew-pew light tank. So I would go aggressively search this guy out. Like, I wouldn't have even driven over there. I would have literally just driven straight out of the low. And I'm not sure where you're going now. So again, the thing that you should be thinking of right now is, how do I set up so that I can catch them coming across an open plain? You're just kind of driving around now, and so maybe you'll catch them in a good place, and maybe you won't. Like, there was the last intel that you had was about a minute ago or so. I like the low's still there.
It's a trap!
Yeah, you got to be careful when light tanks. Even if you sidle up somebody, they can deal a lot of damage to you if you tap them. And that makes it much more difficult. So now, again, you need to find a situation. Like, you could have even stayed in that open area over here, maybe come over. There's some bushes over, I think it's on this side, where you can basically spot down these lanes. Like, your SU-8 will spot the cap essentially and let you know if there's somebody over there. And apparently there's somebody over there. Oh my god.
It's a trap!
No! Just hide behind the IS-3.
We didn't even scratch them.
Lol.
That one didn't go through.
It's a trap!
Bail out. This vehicle is
So sad. Yeah, so other than, I didn't think you needed to force that encounter out here, and it felt like you would have been better off helping your guys over here, because those guys were relatively inconsequential given their position. But that's one of the reasons why I don't really like going out to this field. Like if I go out to this field, I'll maybe take a peek, and if I see any tanks there, you just leave because it's really not worthwhile for you to push that. He's sad. Very nice effort, though. Would have been nice if you gotten a little bit more out of your eights, but them's the breaks. Nice try. GG.